Wouldn't it be great if you could save hundreds of dollars when you travel simply by doing what you already do at home every single week? I used to think that taking a vacation meant I had to eat out all the time if I wanted to really experience the place we were visiting. And then we took our 3 kids to Disney World one year and spent over $1,500 in food alone. And this was several years ago, so I'm sure it would easily be double that by now. I've since ditched that old idea in favor of some practical solutions that save me hundreds of dollars every single time we travel, and I'm really excited to share them with you today. Hi, I'm Anna Smith. Together with my husband Jeff, we make travel content. We live in Chicago with our 3 kids and love to be out and about every chance we get. We are not by any stretch of the imagination rich, and we know the value of a dollar. So every opportunity I have to save money and continue to do what I love, I take. So if you are a planner or you just want to get better at saving money while traveling with your family, this is the video for you. So grab a cup of coffee, get cozy, because we're headed deep into the weeds on meal prep while you travel. I feel like there's some kind of unwritten rule that half of our travel budgets end up going to food. I feel like it's the hidden expense when it comes to travel. If I'm planning a trip, obviously, one of the first things I think of is transportation. How am I going to get there? Am I flying? Am I driving? What does that look like cost-wise? The next thing I'm thinking about is accommodations, whether it's a hotel or we're going to do an Airbnb. I'm adding that into my overall price. And the thing that I always leave for last and always under budget, it seems, is money for food. And with inflation where it is right now, food prices are higher than ever. And I don't think it's profitable for us to just kind of shoo it away and act like all we have to do to travel and have a good time is show up. We've got to eat, and we need to have a conversation around food and around the money that it takes, and just some easy things that we can do to make it more affordable so that we can do what we all want to do, and that is travel more. We are a family of 5, which means that my savings when I cook instead of eat out multiplies. I like to think of that old book, Cheaper by the Dozen. I guess we're cheaper by the 5. Recently, we traveled to the Wilderness Resort in the Wisconsin Dells. And in this video, I'm going to share with you my meal plan as well as my grocery shopping routine. I will also give you a tour of the kitchen in the condo where we stayed. We stayed at the resort a total of 4 days. I booked a condo through Club Wyndham on Airbnb, which meant I had access to a full kitchen during our stay. We did not eat every single meal in room because it is fun to try local foods and eateries. This has become a must for me, and I rarely stay in regular hotel rooms anymore, unless it's a very short stay. But I want to show you how just a little bit of prep work ahead of time can go so far when you travel. Before I start planning out my meals, I like to get a really good look at the kitchen and get as much information about it as I can. I've even messaged hosts ahead of time to get more information on the kitchen and ask questions. That's how important this space is. For example, I once only brought drip coffee supplies to a beach rental to discover they only had a K-cup machine. That's honestly the first thing I check now. What kind of coffee maker is available? Let's take a look inside the kitchen in this condo. These pots, pans, and baking dishes are all a good sign. This means they're prepped for real cooking and not just reheating. And yes, there is a difference. They have enough silverware for a big family to eat multiple meals, and they've thought of cooking utensils. I was once in a rental in the mountains that had a wooden spoon, and that was it. Yikes. And here we are looking at a full-sized oven. These are really the basic dishes you will always need, and I love that they include barware. Please, oh please, don't make me drink my Chardonnay out of a cup. I was honestly so pleased with this Wyndham rental by B&B This. I would totally stay here again. This kitchen gave me exactly what I needed, as well as plenty of space to do the actual eating. Again, big family, we all need elbow space. The first step in my meal planning routine begins before we leave home. I use the Notes app on my phone every single week to plan what our family is going to eat that week on each day. And here's what that looks like. So when it comes to travel, I really don't have to change very much. I just make sure I'm inputting only those days we'll be out of town, and I add sections for breakfast, lunch, beverages, and snacks. Now, listen, before anyone says just drink water, I have tried that. I have been down that road. I have fought that battle. That does not work for my family. And I have found it's easier to just buy them beverages to have either in the condo or the Airbnb than to have them spending $2, $3, $5 on drinks at the resort store or from a machine whenever we're out and about. This is what works for us. You should always do whatever works for you and your family. I'm gonna grab a little coffee here while we chat. Now, I try to have all of this set about 2 to 3 days before we leave. That way I'm ready to hop right over into the Walmart app and start building my grocery list. Now, I do like Walmart for this because there is reliably one of those stores in every single city I've ever visited. Other stores are often regional, so even if you have a membership at one of them, you may not have access to it at your destination. An example of this would be when we were living in Birmingham, Alabama. The big thing to shop there was Publix, but we don't have one of those up here in Chicago. In Chicago, everything here is Meijer. And of course, we don't have Meijer down in Miami when we went there. So Walmart is reliably everywhere I end up going. One of the great things about the Walmart app is that pickup is free. You don't need to worry about the subscription service for delivery because you can just arrange the pickup at your destination. Now, I like to load all of the food into the app or into my cart about 24 hours before we leave, but I don't check out. I wait to do the checkout part until we are like literally leaving the house. That way I have the best idea possible of when we're going to arrive. Now, if you're flying to your destination, you may not need to really wait because flights have scheduled times, but if you're driving, for me, it works to wait. We don't always get out the door at the exact moment I thought we would, or maybe we leave earlier, and by waiting, I have a better idea of our arrival. That way I can adjust my pickup time depending on our travel schedule for that day. Now, I do also have Walmart Plus, which is an extra fee. My preferred way to travel is AirBNB, and when the host shares their address prior to arrival, I can have my groceries set to deliver close to my arrival. I don't do that for every property. If it's a condo inside a hotel, it doesn't really work. I was able to do it recently in Arkansas, and it was such a huge relief not to have to go back out for groceries once we'd settled in. Now, if all this talk of budget-friendly travel is right up your alley, consider subscribing to the channel. I plan on making more of these videos. Now, here is my exact food list for this trip. You'll see I include extras like cooking oil, tin pans, and sandwich bags. This guarantees I can make things from box mixes or saute something. I can even use the bags for food storage. I have yet to stay in the condo or Airbnb that includes Tupperware. And the pans make for easy cleanup when I cook certain things like cinnamon rolls or bacon. Don't forget these extras. It is harder than you might think to cobble together leftover containers out of just plates. And here is my exact meal plan for this trip. I like to keep breakfast fairly simple. I did muffins and bacon one morning. This is a favorite breakfast for my family. I cooked the bacon in one of these handy dandy aluminum foil trays so I could let the grease cool in that and throw the whole thing away. Another morning, I made ready to rise cinnamon rolls in another one of these trays and paired it with sausage for protein. These are nice to do early on in the trip because we can eat the leftovers the additional mornings. And of course, coffee is made in the room. I love coffee and I love my oat milk creamer. And I think it is highway robbery that I have to pay extra to swap out for oat milk in cafes. One thing that makes a huge difference here is buying store brand. I am not too proud for a $3 bag of Ripples over a $6 bag of Ruffles. I did bring a few things from home, and that was eggs, vegan butter, and oat milk. I was at the end of a carton of eggs, so it was easy to tuck that into a bag in the car and throw away the empty package when I was done. Same for the oat milk. And I'm not buying a whole box of butter when all I need is one stick to make muffins. Do try to think through the things that might need ingredients and bring some of those from home. For dinners, I do like to keep things simple. I don't want to make something that's going to generate a lot of leftovers, so immediately soup is off the table. Same for spaghetti. I did a nice simple chicken breast on the stovetop with what I like to call fancy mac and cheese. This is mac and cheese for grown-ups, and you know it is absolutely store brand. I also put a salad on the side so we can get our greens in. Lunches, I made grab-and-go items. Salads, chicken strips, even some ramen. Things basically that I don't have to cook and people know they can just grab and make for themselves. Let's take a look at that bottom dollar. Now, I was curious to know exactly how much I saved, so here's a look at my Excel spreadsheet I created around this budget. I really love a good Excel spreadsheet. It's where I get all my best thinking done. I broke out exactly when we ate in the room from the groceries. Here you can see we ate breakfast 4 times, which is every morning of our trip, lunch twice, and dinner once. I included our snacking, beverages, coffee, and desserts. I included everything because when you don't bring your own food, you end up buying all of this from the resort every single time someone is hungry or thirsty. Did I mention I have 3 kids? And they're in that middle to older age. I don't think there's a moment in my day somebody is not hungry or thirsty. I then calculated what I likely would have spent had I purchased this on property. These are averages, and honestly, I probably undershot it in a few places. I based these prices on photos I took of menus as well as actual money we've spent before at the resort from previous trips. As you can see here, had I eaten on property, we'd be looking at roughly $300 for breakfast, $150 for lunch, and at least $100 for dinner out. I'm not saying that I personally cooked a $100 dinner, simply that that's what we would have been spending if we'd gotten food elsewhere. Food out for a family of 5, and even at McDonald's, even at a bargain barrel type restaurant, is, I would say on the low end, $70. And that's probably if I forbid everyone from buying drinks, which you had better believe I do if I think it's necessary. $100 for a dinner out, I think, is just totally reasonable, maybe even on the low end, because remember, we were staying in what I would call a resort town or a vacation town. Also, if you travel with kids, then you already know they do not care what food costs. I can spend $10 on fancy mac and cheese at a restaurant, and if my 5th grader thinks the cheese is a weird color, we're done. That's it. He's not eating it. He doesn't care what I paid for it. If you're a parent, you are familiar with this battle. All right. So all of that together would have come to $550 if I'd been purchasing it from the resort or in town. I then broke out what snacks, beverages, coffees, and sweets cost and got to $401. Together, that is $951 if we'd eaten all of that at the resort. Now, let's take a moment and talk about alcohol. Jeff got us each a drink at the swim up bar, and they were $15 a piece. Now, I like to make a fun little drink with my kids at home. We call this the Lazy Bahama Mama. You start with Sprite or Twist Up store brand, add orange juice, pour in some grenadine, and you've got yourself a little cocktail. I topped mine off with some coconut rum I brought from home. And as you can tell here, I forgot to leave enough room in mine to add anything. Use different colored straws so you don't get mixed up which one's yours, and cheers. My boys and I made this drink together on our card game night. My family this is a side note. Side note, my family loves playing games when we travel. We have all the games here in our home, but for some reason it is hard to make time in the evenings, especially during the school week, to just sit down and not worry about anything else and play a game together. So whenever we travel, we always bring one or two games, board games, card games, something easily fits in the car with us. It's become a bit of a family tradition, and honestly, we love it. Jeff and I also like a glass of wine at the end of the night when we're on vacation, so I included a bottle of wine in my grocery order. I calculated $12 a glass if I'd bought that at the resort, which is fairly typical for resort pricing. Add that in, and we're at just under $1,000 if I'd purchased all of this food and drinks and snacks on property. Ready for my pricing reveal? I spent a total of $176.92 on groceries. Anna for the win! Yes! We are talking a savings of $822.08 just by grocery shopping. I also calculated what we spent at the resort and the restaurant food we did get. I have a separate video detailing where we ate as well as the condo we stayed in. So check that out if you'd like more information on that. That total came to $434.54. Now, I'll be honest, that number was actually higher than what I was hoping for, but food prices have really skyrocketed. So I think that may be more a case of me adjusting my expectations than of us needing to eat less. This candy apple, for example, was $10. No joke, for an apple. It was delicious though. Overall, I feel really good about this. Knowing I saved over $800 makes it easier to spend $10 for a candy apple, or on froyo, or a specialty coffee, or whatever it is you like. I honestly don't know how other people travel without cooking. Using this method, and that is meal planning, grocery pickup, and cooking in room, I save hundreds every single time I travel. And I can often get Airbnbs for better prices than I could even get hotel rooms for our whole family, which maximizes my savings. You don't have to be rich to travel a lot, but you do need to be frugal. If you got value from this video, consider giving it a like. It helps my channel grow and allows me to make more content. And tell me in the comments if you like to cook when you travel. What's your favorite out-of-town recipe to cook? I'm always looking for something new to try. I made a video on everything we did at the Wilderness Resort, as well as an overview of each of the indoor water parks. So go check those out next if you haven't done so already. I'm so grateful to you for being here and staying to the end of this video. I love everything to do with travel and trip planning, and getting to share that here on YouTube and with you is such a gift. I am truly grateful to you. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you out there.